everybody, it's Mrs. Concho. I had a great idea this week with Sunday being Mother's Day to do a flower project. So the artist that I wanted to introduce to you is a female artist by the name of Georgia O'Keeffe. And I thought we could do a little project focusing on flowers because it would be a great gift to give to your mother this Sunday. All right, well, have fun with the project, and I'll see you next week. Bye. These are some Gerber daisies that I just happen to have in my house. It's going to be a Mother's Day gift for my mother-in-law. So I'm going to study this Gerber daisy and try to draw large from this in the style of Georgia O'Keeffe. Okay, so I'm going to draw very large here, and I'm going to focus on the center of the flower. So I'm looking at my flower, and then I'm going to draw from it. So I'm going to start with a semicircle shape, really big. I'm going to add all my details at the end. And then I'm going to go right ahead to the bottom where the stem would be. I'm just going to go ahead and put that on. I'm drawing really lightly right now because I'm just sort of spatially sketching this out. If you have a flower that has larger stigmas, I'll show you how to do that after, but you would draw those first very large. Then I'm going to move to the petals, and I'm going to crop them a little bit. That means they're going to go off the page, but that's okay with me. And like I said, my flower is not perfect at all, and I prefer it that way. So I'm just going to do some petals. I'm drawing them pretty large, and I'm leaving a little bit of space, and I'm going right off the page. I can erase anything I don't like later. Okay. Now I'm going to move back to that middle where it looks like it has some texture to the flower, and they almost look like little circles almost. They go down a little bit in some areas. So I'm just going to go through. This is going to take me a couple minutes. And I'm going to add some texture. When I finish the center of my flower, I'm going to go back to those petals, and I'm going to just put a couple lines. Now, I don't know if you have watercolor at home. If you only have pencil, that's fine. If you do have watercolor pencils, I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with some crayons after, and then I would go over it with watercolor. If you have watercolor, this would be a great project to add some to. If you don't, no big deal. Just use what you have. And I'm going to go back, put kind of a zigzag line. Bottom of this, get it kind of how I want it. I want this to look a little bit more like a tube. And again, I like this space. It's called negative space. It's the area that your flower does not take up. So I like putting a little bit of space in between my petals. All right, so this is my pencil drawing. I am fairly happy with it. It's okay. Now that I'm done, I'm going to use some pencil, or crayon, excuse me, to go over some of my lines. So I'm going to pick some colors that are similar to this flower, and I want to use some variation in the colors that I use. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and color it, and then I'll show you my final product. All right, here is the Zoom giant cropped picture of my Georgia O'Keeffe flower. It's not finished yet. I just used crayon to color it, adding certain lines. So I focused on the texture of the center of the flower, And then I'm just adding just some crayon lines to the petal. If I have a petal that goes above a different petal, I might want to put a little shadow area right there. So I'm using a different color. I'm using a deeper color of purple for shadow areas. And then I'm using more of a red. What is this? Yeah, it's just red. Plain old red for the petals. And I'm just adding some lines. So I intend to go over this with watercolor because the crayon will resist. Remember, we talked a lot about science where oil and water don't mix. So you'll be able to see your crayon go through the watercolor. It'll be a really cool effect. If you do not have watercolor at home, just keep coloring with the crayons or markers. Your choice. If you don't have crayons or markers at home, just do it with the pencil drawing. All right, so I'm going to add a couple more lines here to my flower. Again, it's just crayon, nothing special. And then I'm going to get my watercolor ready and go over the top of it. I will show you that. Just hold tight. Oh, reminder, you can also use white with the crayon. That is cool for an effect too. So maybe I'll go to the top of my flower here, put a little white, and maybe I'll put some white in the petals. All right, so I'm going to put watercolor over this and show you what I'm doing. This is the watercolor palette I'm using. It is nothing special. In fact, it's pretty dried out and old and not working very well. So I am just getting them wet. Remember, for watercolors, you have to get them really saturated with water to activate them so they work. I'm going to go over here to my petals, and I'm going to try to focus a little bit on value, where I do a darker color towards the end of the petal. And then maybe I switch gears here because this is my goal, but I don't have anything, sorry about the shadows, guys. I don't have anything this bright that will work in my watercolors. I'm going to use the red towards the other part of the petal. If you get it wet and then you wet the area near it, it's the wet on wet technique that we talked about in class. So I'm just going to work on this flower for a little bit, do a background color, and show you my final product. Again, sorry about these shadows. It kind of makes things a little confusing of what color is which, but got to go with it. All right, I'll check back in with you. So here it is, my finished Georgia O'Keeffe inspired close-up of a flower. I left one little section white. I keep saying mom. Maybe some of you don't live with your mom. You could give this to any special lady in your life. I left this white section open for a reason. If you want to be really cryptic and leave a message, you could write something like, I love you, Mom, then paint over it with watercolor, and it will be right there. It's kind of like a little science experiment. I try to pick a color for your background that gives contrast. I used a bright blue. I don't have a lot of colors here to choose from, but just try to pick a background color that contrasts with your flower color. Okay, if you ever get stuck, picking complementary colors is always a good choice. So purple and yellow, orange and blue, red and green. Great choices. All right, let's see if my message shows up. It's hard for me to hold the camera and draw at the same time. I'm just going to write Mom. Sorry, move it over. Mom. Okay. Grab my blue. And here I go. Let's see if it works. Maybe I didn't go over enough with the crayon. It's not really showing up. That's crazy. Well, trust me, it works if you do it. I couldn't see. So I'm painting and holding my phone. So I couldn't see before if I put enough wax of the crayon on. All right, I have one little area left. Let's see if this crayon works. Can I hold it so you can see? And because I have nobody to hold the edge of my paper so it doesn't move. Is it a problem with my crayon? Let's figure it out. Okay. No. Well, that is bizarre. Anyways, hopefully you have better luck. Here is my finished Georgia O'Keeffe. Well, good luck, and if you do write a message, hopefully your crayon will resist a little bit better than mine. But hey, nothing turns out perfect, does it? All right, guys, good luck with this assignment. Have fun. See you next week.